That's the thing. Georgie isn't speaking.
Hi, Samson.
Hi,
Hello,
Georgie.
everyone on here. Yes, we are set to introduce the NEF Fellows video, so I know a lot of people are excited, anticipating what's going to happen. We should be able to introduce that just now. I think we're good to go, aren't we?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to a very interesting part of the program. In just a sec, we'll see a video highlighting just a spotlight on the Next Einstein Forum Fellows. This is session 1. We'll have a lot more of these videos showing up at different intervals within the schedule. But just a quick point to note, I had mentioned when we were in another breakout session, please remember about handles, which is at next Einstein 4 and aims_next. So those are the handles that you can tag whenever you tweet anything, and the hashtag is NEF 2020. So after this, immediately after this video, there will be a parallel session 2 with the breakout sessions. So I'll come back and introduce that immediately this video plays. So, ladies and gents, meet the first group of the Next Einstein Forum Fellows, class of 2019 to 2021. Find out how they are impacting their communities and the world at large. Take a look.
Mon nom est Keita Alpha Kabinet. Je suis titulaire d'un doctorat en médecine de l'université Gamal Abdel Nasser de Conakry et d'un doctorat en sciences sur les maladies infectieuses de l'université d'Aix-Marseille. Je suis actuellement chercheur de l'université de Montpellier, rattaché à l'unité de recherche translationnelle sur le VIH et les maladies infectieuses. Je développe en Guinée un projet de recherche One Health qui étudie les virus à l'interface homme-faune sauvage. À ce titre, j'occupe les fonctions de directeur adjoint du Centre de recherche et de formation en infectiologie de Guinée et coordonne les activités de l'unité de biologie moléculaire de l'Institut national de santé publique. Dans le cadre de mes activités de formation, je me suis investi aux côtés de mes collègues dans le renforcement des capacités. Nous avons mis en place des laboratoires de biologie moléculaire, formé plusieurs biologistes et créé le Centre de recherche et de formation en infectiologie de Guinée. Avec l'actuelle pandémie à coronavirus, ces structures sont en première ligne dans la riposte. Nous avons, à côté de cela, organisé plusieurs formations de courte durée et créé avec des collègues enseignants-chercheurs de la faculté des sciences et techniques de la santé de l'université de Conakry un master en microbiologie dans lequel je suis directeur de programme. En 2015, plus concrètement, et en pleine épidémie Ebola, je me suis investi dans un projet One Health qui a permis de suivre les survivants de la maladie à virus Ebola. Leur contact et d'entamer une étude sur le réservoir du virus Ebola et de d'autres zoonoses. Ces travaux ont permis le développement d'outils diagnostiques, la mise en place de plateforme de suivi et de diagnostic des maladies infectieuses émergentes en Guinée. Ils ont contribué à une meilleure connaissance de l'évolution clinique, virologique des survivants et apporté des éléments à la compréhension de l'histoire naturelle de la maladie à virus Ebola. Nous avons notamment montré dans une cohorte suivie pendant 40 mois que le virus Ebola pouvait persister dans le sperme et le lait maternel plus de 18 mois après la disparition des symptômes et l'absence du virus dans le sang. Dans la même dynamique, je pense qu'il est urgent de générer des données permettant d'identifier des zones à risque, afin de prévenir les épidémies et de soutenir les décisions de santé publique, et surtout dans les pays à faible revenu. Mon objectif donc pour les années à venir de documenter avec justement une approche One Health le réservoir, l'écologie de certains virus ayant des implications majeures pour la santé publique. C'est un sujet de recherche avec des perspectives réelles. Nous savons par exemple aujourd'hui que plus de 60% des agents pathogènes humains sont d'origine animale. Nous remarquons dans le même temps une augmentation de la fréquence des épidémies d'origine zoonotique et aucun pays dans le monde n'est épargné. La pandémie actuelle à coronavirus en est une parfaite illustration et montre la nécessité d'une veille attentive et du contrôle de ces zoonoses. C'est un projet d'importance capitale qui permettra d'estimer plus précisément le risque de futures épidémies. Et ce projet permettra de fournir davantage d'informations sur la diversité des virus chez les animaux et les humains dans les zones étudiées. Il y aura des implications pratiques pour la prévention des épidémies, la gestion des épidémies, le diagnostic, mais aussi le traitement des maladies d'origine zoonotique.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here today to talk about a very important topic that does not take the attention it deserves. Do you know what this is? You probably have eaten it today already. This is budding yeast, and it's my favorite model organism. I use it in the lab every day. Yeast research is a great fit for African institutes, as it's much more cost-efficient than cell culture and animal work. Yet, very few African labs implement yeast research. Budding yeast shares 23% homology to humans. It was the first eukaryote to be sequenced in 1996, and it has been used as a model since the 1960s. Yeast research has resulted in many groundbreaking discoveries, several of which deserve a Nobel Prize. After finishing my PhD in Germany, I came back to Egypt as a postdoc at Center for Genomics at Zuweil City of Science and Technology to establish the use of yeast as a model. Since then, we have been using yeast to reveal new gene functions in various molecular mechanisms. These mechanisms are associated with a number of diseases, including cancer and neurodegenerative disorders. Our research aims to contribute to the advances of biomedical research in Africa and worldwide through understanding of diseases and tailoring personalized medicine. Another aspect of research that I really care about is working in a collaborative research environment. We are asking the future generations to make a great impact on humanity through scientific research. That means teaching them the importance of collaboration and the positive attitude required to enrich humanity and African values as much as practice scientific excellence. Our African institutes host researchers of great potential, but we need mentors and role models to guide them to transform Africa from a consumer of research and technology to a producer capable of competing. Despite the numerous duties of being a faculty member, I am committed to spending time with my students and transferring my knowledge to them, making them feel comfortable in their lab environment, teaching them how to work in teams. I also teach them the importance of data reproducibility and studying to acquire knowledge and not just to perform well in exams. I also deeply believe it's time to broaden our definition of what makes a good role model for a woman scientist. It's more than applauding women who succeed in African science today. It's about reframing how we talk about women's competence. Nurturing women role models in science requires shifting common mentalities and destroying limiting stereotypes of the perfect mom and wife. The work-life balance requires some delegation. Offering additional support for women researchers during their maternity time and while raising their kids up is vital to their academic journey. I was very fortunate that my social circle embraces that I asked for help and hired someone to take care of my kid during the working hours. There was no shame in this. In fact, I was even better able to spend time with my kid after work. My husband, parents, and friends are role models for supporting me this way. And I think all women researchers deserve the same chance. Everyone listening now has the potential to be the kind of model that can bring great science home to Africa. We have to all cooperate, love the good for all, and seek success together rather than individual victories. By changing our culture, by adapting teamwork, and appreciating healthy work and lab environment, we can achieve Africa's full potential to advancing science and technology.
At some point, many of us have gone through having to make the difficult decision of whether to agree to have surgery or not to have surgery. Often a very scary decision because you know what others have been through or how difficult or challenging or what complications they may have had. In Africa, pregnant women are 50 times more likely to die from cesarean section complications than women in high-income countries. Why is this? This happens in areas where women are not able to access hospitals on time, are not able to access specialist care on time, have to travel through very difficult roads to get to the nearest hospital. And when they do get there, they might not find a specialist or they might not be able to receive blood or critical care services depending on what complications they have. So my research has looked at this work, and initially my research was on bleeding during and after cesarean sections, and this has since led to a focus area of global surgery, which is a new emerging discipline which looks at surgical outcomes for the general population and how to improve those. This is not only about cesarean sections, but goes across all the various surgical disciplines, including anesthesia and various disciplines such as vascular surgery, neurosurgery, cardiothoracic surgery. So global surgery looks at all the surgical disciplines and how we can improve the access to surgical care and the quality of surgical care, providing comprehensive care and strengthening surgical healthcare systems. It's important that we look at surgical health systems because when patients die from complications of surgery, it's not usually what happens inside the hospital that's the problem, but it's what happens outside of the hospital. These are issues that have to do with policy, resource allocation, budget, funding, etc. It's not only about the surgeon that is with the patient at that time, but what is available for the surgeon at that time. So as we've done more and more research trying to understand this, we have found that surgical systems and investing in improving surgical systems will save more lives. So 3 areas that I think are important for us as scientists in this area are: 1, improving surgical systems and doing research that aims to strengthen surgical systems; 2, understanding data and using data science and other forms of research that quantify how serious the problems are and what can be improved; and 3, looking at innovation to find unique solutions and new ways of doing things in order to improve surgical care and surgical outcomes. Investment in surgical care and surgical systems not only will improve access and quality of surgery, but it will indeed save lives for many people, particularly in Africa and low and middle income countries, where a lot of lives are still lost because people are not able to have life-saving surgery when they require it.
Hi, my name is Geoffrey Siwo. I am a research assistant professor at the Center for Research Computing and the Eck Institute for Global Health at the University of Notre Dame in Southland, Indiana. The traditional way of doing biomedical research has been in siloed labs in Western universities and big pharmaceutical companies. Today, I want to share with you what I believe is a paradigm shift for biomedical research that could change who, where, and how quickly biomedical research advances. This new paradigm is to think of the internet as one giant lab. That is, using the internet to connect humans and machines all over the world to solve important biomedical problems. This means no one physical lab, no physical constraints, no one institution dominates, and even those without access to advanced laboratories have a chance to contribute to advancing biomedical research. The internet as a lab turns biological problems into computational problems. Once biological problems are turned into data, they can be solved at the speed of computation by a network of humans and machines on the internet. That is human intelligence and artificial intelligence, or AI. This leads to augmented intelligence on a global scale. A network of humans and machines not constrained by a physical lab and who have complementary skills can solve problems faster and better than the biggest company or the fastest supercomputer. So why do I believe this? You see, over the past 20 years, this has been the foundation by which I approach biology. To think of biological questions as computational, to think of the lab as where the information lies, not as a physical space. That opens up science in powerful ways. It means there's no limitation for Africa to participate on that scale. It means that even in 2002, while still in my undergraduate studies at Egerton University in Kenya, the internet was my lab to test the idea of how HIV quickly develops drug resistance. It meant that even without a personal computer, all I needed was a cyber cafe. So what if the internet was a lab for millions of people around the world, from Africa to Asia, to Europe to North America? In the internet lab, Africa can be an importer of data. Like in this project, the Malaria Dream Challenge Hackathon, where we used malaria parasites from Southeast Asia to generate data in the USA, and then this data was analyzed for the first time in Africa, and by scientists from 8 different African countries, all gathered in South Africa. The internet lab does not replace the physical lab. Instead, it connects the capabilities of the physical labs around the world with human and machine intelligence globally. It connects the advanced capabilities in data generation and clinical research at Big Pharma to the brightest minds in the world in artificial intelligence, or AI. Here's an example of how this would work. In the Malaria Dream Challenge project, we took a biological problem of importance to Africa, malaria drug resistance, and turned it into a computational problem, and asked anyone interested to join it and help us analyze some genomic data to this problem. For the malaria researcher, this means they don't have to be experts in AI to be able to leverage it. For the student in Africa, or the AI researcher, this means they don't need access to an expensive lab. Like the students from South Korea who developed the top computer model for the Malaria Dream Challenge, using data from Southeast Asia on a problem that affects Africa. The internet as a lab means you don't have to have the best physical lab in the world that costs millions of dollars to lead in science. It means you can do great science faster and at lower cost. It means science can advance at the exponential speed of computing power. It means you can have important biomedical discoveries come from any part of the world. It means biomedical research can be resilient to pandemics like COVID-19. Thank you.
Absolutely perfect. So we've heard from the NEF fellows. Thank you very much, Dr. Siwo. Of course, we had before as well, speaking on understanding data to quantify and reflect on ground, find new ways of doing things, and let data, or maybe the infrastructure around data, not be a hindrance. other ways to disseminate that information. Thank you very much. Maybe just to go through a few things that have been highlighted in some areas that were not there as we wrap up. We've had a lot of heavy conversations happen from the beginning. I can see Dr. El Serafi has lost connection, but she'll be back, but not to worry. So we've had a lot of heavy conversations from the leaders panel to the breakout sessions. Some of you were not able to join both, but we did have some very interesting conversations from that. One was how we were able to prepare mentally for some of the countries that saw the COVID-19 start off in China, and we were able to prepare mentally, and some scientists also rallied to create a lot of data and futuristic analysis and say we did actually work towards making sure we were ahead of the curve, although there's still a lot more work to be done. There was a crucial point raised by a proper computer scientist, Francisco from the University of Oxford, who asked about the vaccines and distribution of the vaccines, who asked, do we roll out the vaccines to the health workers who are more at risk or those who are vulnerable, or do we give it to the young people who are less at risk but they're spreading COVID-19 more? And that conversation just spiraled into a lot of advice and analysis on how exactly we can use data to help us. So that was very crucial, and I think we will see some heavier conversations happen even as we continue tomorrow and we wrap up the session. But for now, I do have to wrap up. Remember the hashtags. The hashtag is NEF 2020. The handles are at NextEinstein4. Make sure you tweet as much as possible and _AIMS. That's AIMS _next at AIMS next. So next up, what we have now to wrap up before the day is over, you will not see me again. You will see me tomorrow when we kick off with an opening presentation by Professor Jacques, who is the president of IRCAD, Arcade France, who was on today's leaders panel with a fantastic set. I can't wait to see that again. So right now we'll have parallel session 2 with 2 breakout sessions. We have leadership during COVID-19, best practices and recommendations for futuristic policies to combat pandemics. The moderator is Professor Sanushka Naidu from South Africa. And then we have breakout session 2, the role of science in informing recovery from global crises, of course, such as COVID-19. The moderator is Dr. Nana, who is currently an AIMS Canada Research Chair in Climate Change Science with AIMS Rwanda. So with that, I have to bid you adieu. Tomorrow we'll have a bit more conversation, and we'll get to see whether people are energized to continue with the conversation. So please just tune in at the top, just like we did today, and we'll make it a day to make sure that we have the most out of the Next Einstein Forum Global Gathering Virtual Edition for 2020. I've been your host, George Ndurango. Please go and enjoy the breakout sessions 1 and 2. I know some of you have been in the lounge, but just go and enjoy as much as possible. I can see almost 100 of you here. Please have all the fun. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Bye-bye for now.